detective. Thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again. Back to some horror, Jared, or I guess you'd call this kind of almost gothic horror, somewhat. Would you put it there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got a touch of that.
Bit of mythology here. This is another one that was brought forward by a listener, and it is Dracula, Voyage of the Demeter, although it was called...
It was called
Last Voyage of the Demeter overseas.
Yeah. Well, it was here too.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when I saw it in the cinema. That's
So
what it was.
at the cinema it was called that, then by the time it gets to streaming it's called
one of those
something
ones where they
Fuck,
they
it's
look
got
at
Dracula
the
in
first, they look at the first week and go, oh shit, we better change the title.
No,
because
what
that's
it
the problem."
was nobody understands this. They don't realise it's about Dracula. Oh, but it is, so we better fucking let everyone know.
Yeah, yeah.
But that we'll get to that very soon. What have you been watching though, Jared? Has it been a big week?
No, it's been a little lean.
Lean
actually.
week.
Been a bit leaner than normal.
I believe you've been doing a fucking jigsaw puzzle.
Well,
you haven't had
there's been jigsaw pieces sitting in front of me and I've been picking them up and putting them back where they were. But
Which is my fucking method of doing it too.
Yeah.
Is pick him up and go, oh, nah.
There's a lot of, this looks like that. Oh, fuck. And put it back. And then sort of sit there for 3 hours and put 2 to 3 pieces in place and say, well, that was good, wasn't it? That's fantastic for my mental health.
Yeah, that's right. yeah, I've only gotten more frustrated. What do you got?
I finished Lake Placid, the final chapter.
Oh, good lord! Is this the 3-pack that had Yancey Butler in it that you?
Yeah. So there was that, and there was the Anaconda one, which like Robert Englund was involved
versus
in
Lake
last
Placid
two with Yancey Butler. Yeah, Lake Placid versus Anaconda. So I did go sniffing around for the Chinese remake of Anaconda that came out last year too. Could not find it anywhere. So
right on.
I didn't get to check that one out. And there's also Lake Placid Legacy that I couldn't find anywhere either.
Okay.
So I've still got them to go. But the Mean One turned up on Amazon Prime.
The Mean One.
The Mean One. So it's basically that one where it's the Grinch, but they've made it a slasher movie.
Oh.
And I'm still baffled as to how they got away with using. I mean, I know it's parody and there's concessions for parody and copyright law and that sort of stuff, but I mean, fuck, it's just the Grinch killing people. So
okay,
it's shit.
Okay,
I couldn't
turned up on Amazon Prime though.
It's on Amazon Prime, so I watched it. I watched a bit of comedy. I had a look at Cat Williams after his kind of getting back in the public eye. I watched one of his stand-up specials.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of meandering, but when he hits on something and gets a few gags going, the guy is funny.
Yeah.
Joe Bob's latest, which was a fucking cracking episode, was Death Spa.
Death Spa.
Is
Is it Ted Pryor? The director?
I don't think. Oh, was it?
Or David Pryor? I can't remember. I've seen Death Spa.
Yeah,
it's cool. Shit-house stuff, but it's, you know.
Well, I actually kind of liked it. So it was directed by Michael Fisher.
Michael Fisher. Maybe I think I've got Ted Pryor mixed up with
Michael Fisher.
Michael Fisher, but also different spa film.
Yeah,
There's
possibly.
Death Spa type of film.
But Death Spa was kind of cool. Like there was portions of it where it was quite well directed. I mean, it's fucking stupid. Like it goes really weird. And as
Michael Fisher.
Joe Bob pointed out,
that
it's made by people that didn't really know horror, so they make a few mistakes in how they decide to approach it. But the episode was piss funny. I mean, there's one part where Joe Bob goes to presenting his part, but he decides to sit on one of those fucking jiggling things that's supposed to work you out.
Yeah.
And it was fucking hilarious. And then they whip together a little sort of workout, like a Denise Austin style kind of workout video with Joe Bob cracking out the curls and shit. And I think there's something on the horizon called Slasher Size, which is trying to kind of parody that for the modern audience. So they jumped in and fucking put some routine together for it. It was highly entertaining. So that was good stuff. In the wake of Roger Corman's passing.
Oh, untimely passing.
Untimely. I mean, he got a fair knock.
He did.
I think he was 98.
Yeah.
So he's done pretty well there. I went back to one of his 50s efforts called Attack of the Crab Monsters. It was pretty ordinary.
Okay, okay. So he's been making shit since the 50s. Great.
Look,
Good to
Roger
know.
knew what he was doing. She was pretty straightforward. The effects for the time were okay. Like the giant
Okay.
crab monsters. I looked at him. I was like, well, fuck. That's all right, Roger. You've done pretty well there. But, you know, it is what it is with Roger. Last one I checked out was I sort of dabbled in some Christophe Lambert territory. I went to Fortress.
Fortress.
Yes, I saw
That's
Fortress
actually not
come across the
bad,
radar.
if
Fortress,
I remember
it was
correctly.
pretty cool. Like, she's a little confused and is trying to take parts of other sci-fi sort of action-y flicks from the era. But I tell you what, the fucking set work was pretty impressive.
It was shot in Australia.
It was
right?
shot in Australia. You can really tell when they're heading to Mexico and you look at it, it's like, fuck, that's a gum tree, isn't it? But
It's a Mexican gum
it's a
tree,
Mexican
yeah.
gum tree. But yeah, I was really impressed with the production design and everything because from what I know, it wasn't an expensive
No,
movie. Like it had a bit of cash behind it, but yeah, she's pretty impressive.
because there was like 3 of those movies all made at the same time. All released around the same time. There was that. There was No Escape, I think, that had Ray Liotta in it, and then there was another one called Wedlock with Rutger Hauer. They're all similar. The concept of having like something inside you, you can't go. A little bit like The Running Man, where the guy's head blows off.
Yeah.
So the same sort of thing. But I remember Fortress being pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
I remember Fortress 2 being not so good.
I also recall that, but it's been a long, long time since I saw Fortress 2.
Better sniff that out too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. As soon as I finished this one, I was like, I wonder if I can find the sequel anywhere.
Couldn't find it.
YouTube's always a good fallback. I better have a look there.
Okay, that's everything for you?
That's it.
Okay, I watched... This is going to be hard because I went to... Firstly, we watched a non-horror, non-action film. We watched a dog movie on Amazon Prime called Arthur the King.
Yep.
With Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, it was all right. If the story's true, the fucking dog is, I don't know, something else. Because if it travelled that far, because they were doing all sorts of things. They were canoeing, they were fucking rappelling, and the dog just turns up. Yeah, fucking unbelievable animal. But she's standard stuff. Standard sort of stuff. I watched I was on Netflix looking at their kind of originals.
Yep.
And I jumped on a B-grade thriller called End of the Road with Ludacris and Queen Latifah in it. And I was thinking, what are these two doing here? And it was B-grade all the way. It was a bit like Joyride.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that, except it involved, money being stolen that then puts them in the crosshairs.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty average, Pretty sort of I don't know. It's one of those things where you probably sign a fucking deal with Netflix and just because I'll let you do whatever you want. So that was the sort of thing. Then I watched Reptile with Benicio del Toro and Alicia Silverstone and Justin Timberlake. Good performances, but Jared, when you're watching a sort of a thriller and a really good thriller, you don't need cool visuals or musical stings and stuff. It's just what's happening makes you uncomfortable. So Silence of the Lambs is a classic example. You don't need anything when Lecter's talking to her. It's creepy.
Yeah.
This relies far too much on those angles. They've got weird sort of visual angles and they've got this music that sounds kind of like... It's really kind of grating. It's kind of getting on your nerves a little bit. But the whole aspects of it, like the plot aspects, it was just you could see all this shit coming.
Yeah.
A mile away. And she was a fucking 2-hour 15 slog too. It took me 3 goes to finish it.
I feel like talking to these people that are whipping together, Netflix originals that have no business being that long, and just saying, "How dare you? How dare you take 2 hours 15 of my time?
I've got shit to do."
I mean, 90's free. 90's free. I won't fucking whinge at anyone if you take 90.
I will watch any turd if it's 90.
Exactly.
And I won't even piss and moan about it.
Exactly. As soon as you start to stretch, 145, 2. If you hit 2:15 and I'm bored to tears, I'm fucking filthy. I want to talk to the director in person.
But
and say,
what's
"How
your
dare you?"
editor doing? Are they doing anything? Or are they just going, oh, yeah, she's good as is?
They're collecting a check and fucking whipping it through some AI program or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to leave the big one till last, but I did knock off the first 2 episodes of a documentary on Disney called Stolen Youth, Inside the Cult of Sarah Lawrence, which is basically about how this group of college kids were all studying at Sarah Lawrence College and living in a dorm room together, and one of them invited their father in, and he turned it into a cult. And fuck me. I have heard some, and Jared, I've watched some pretty strange shit, but this was pretty strange.
Mm.
And it must be so hard to talk about it and think to yourself, how did I get roped?
You would think so.
But you're young, I guess. You're impressionable. Life's not quite there yet.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure if I was young and I was in a uni dorm and someone's parent turned up, you'd be nudging each other going, what the fuck are they doing here?
My first thing is when they say, do you mind if Dad crashes on the couch for a week? Fuck, yes, I mind.
I give him tonight and then he's fucking out.
If he's not out by tomorrow, I'm going straight to the fucking faculty.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's a fucking adult sleeping on our couch.
Yeah.
But no one had the balls to do that.
Yeah.
I think, and one girl in particular, I mean, it feels for her, she didn't get caught up in it, but she saw the red flags and tried to tell the others.
Yeah.
I can just see it. I know that she would probably be pretty happy to say, I fucking told you so, didn't I? You didn't listen. But look, it's interesting. It's interesting. And the last one, Jared, this is the big one for me, and probably for you and a few others. I watched Expendables 4.
How was it?
I don't think I've seen a worse action movie in 20 years.
Who's to blame?
There's a few things to blame. COVID, for starters. I think it was filmed during COVID times, so there are a lot of green screen backdrops and stuff.
Yep.
So the actors are clearly not with there's only a couple of actors on screen. They're not in the actual places because they couldn't go to them. And a large portion of it takes place on a freighter ship. So the big action stuff's all on this freighter ship, and it's kind of like, well, I think that might have been done to kind of make sure we're in this environment where we're not going, globe trotting.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone is barely in it. They bring in characters that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't give a fuck about Barney anyway.
No, neither did I, but you knew who Stallone was. For me, the Expendables films have been kind of average.
Yeah,
right?
all across the board.
The first one was average. The second one I enjoyed the most because I felt like it embraced it the most.
Yeah, same.
Third one was pretty ordinary, and this one's by far the worst. When you replace Arnie, Bruce Willis, Harrison Ford, even Mel Gibson, and you bring in 50 Cent, and these sorts of people, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Because there was a reason why we wanted to see all those guys together.
Yeah. They had runs on the board.
Yeah, correct. And it was kind of nostalgic. We're sitting there, we're looking at it, you got Dolph, you got...
Yeah, but it's also like putting on screen your fucking conversations with people about, wouldn't it be good to get this bloke and this bloke in a movie, and then you could do this and that. And that. It never quite fulfilled any of that.
No.
But seeing those guys together in action scenes was what we had been wanting for, or had been talking about for quite some time. And so the idea of getting them all together always seemed like a solid thing to do. But yeah, they were all too old. The material was never all that good.
Yes. And they wisely sort of, I guess, pivot to Statham as their key man. But again, you cannot tell me that he's beaten Iko Uwais in a blue. You just can't.
No.
It's like saying Mel Gibson would have beat Jet Li in Lethal Weapon 4, and they wisely went the opposite direction, that he couldn't handle him.
Here's one of the problems, Adam. We wisely pivot to Statham because he's the fresh face. Jason Statham's in his 50s, if
I
I'm
know,
not
I know.
mistaken.
But what I mean is, I guess
So-
he had some box office clout. I
No,
could
but
see.
I absolutely, I'm not saying that there's any issue with that.
Mm.
But what I'm saying is there's the issue in itself is that he's the one with the box office clout in his 50s. Like, where are the young action stars in
Yeah.
this? We don't have any.
Yeah, that's right.
Really?
Yeah.
Even someone like Scotty Adkins, who I really like, he's in his 40s or
Yeah,
approaching 50.
or late. Yeah, I think he's late 30s.
So yeah, it's
It was just really bad, Jared. Like everything about it was bad. And there's a number of reasons for it. I know that COVID, or at least I think it was filmed somewhere around that, but
yeah.
it just had no sort of oomph.
Yeah. Scott Adkins is 47.
47?
Yep.
Fuck, he's my age.
Yeah.
Jeez, I tell
He's
you what,
fucking
he's
putting us to
fucking
shame,
he's
isn't he?
putting fucking toe to ass better than I ever would.
Well, mate, I've recently just whipped back up to 2 basketball games in a week instead of 1. My hamstrings and calves, I'm walking like I need some sort of assistance. I need a mobility scooter. Like, and he's still fly kicking heads.
No, Jared. I don't need it, but if it's there,
No,
I'll
I
get
need
on
it.
it.
The magnesium
I'll
cream's not
use it.
working.
You're on all the creams and shit, and you're fucking icing yourself. I mean, I can't even fucking walk to work. Like, to me, that's a slog.
Forget ruffling some feathers and kicking someone in the face, like leaping up for a fly kick. That's just not on the table.
Yeah.
So I'm not throwing any shade at Adkins. I
No,
really like the
absolutely not.
guy. But what I'm saying is
He's also old.
sort of closest to, when you take someone like Keanu Reeves out of it, who's also,
55.
in that age bracket, we don't really have any spry young action stars. People aren't into the action stuff as much as they were.
No.
And we don't have it in a sense that, like, no one's saying, as popular as someone like Chris Hemsworth is, no one's going, oh, the latest Hemsworth flick's out.
No.
It just doesn't happen that way anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
Look, the Expendables was showing its age and its problems in part 3.
Mm.
So I'm not surprised that this is not very good.
Yeah.
That
On
was
the
it.
same note,
Mm.
the fucking Fall Guy.
Yeah.
It's basically flopped.
I know.
And, I mean, Ryan Gosling's as close as you could get to a star right now, surely.
Yes.
And not even he could fucking get us over the line.
Get bums
with
on
that one.
seats.
And it was a fucking awesome movie.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah, but what was the movie that came out last weekend that kind of took most of its box office? Oh, Planet of the Apes.
Mm.
Planet of the Apes. I believe that's pretty good, though.
But even so, The Fall Guy is a good movie which had a star in it. And we fucking...
Well, it's interesting because you would say the same thing about today's movie.
Yep.
A pretty good movie that kind of got forgotten or overlooked.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for me. But let's grab some news, Jared, because there's a lot happening on the Friday the 13th front. And we're clearly, we're
Well,
big fans of the...
Well,
there's a lot happening and nothing happening.
To quote your brother, it's about nothing. It's about everything.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of movement, but nobody's moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
They're throwing their hands up in the air,
they're
but
standing in it. They're standing on the spot, fucking waving their arms around.
yeah, exactly. But so first things first, Brian Fuller has unattached himself from the Crystal Lake TV show, which was being produced by Peacock. It looks like, and I don't think there's not a lot of information out about it, but basically, I don't think they were keen for what.
Now, did he detach himself, or was it the old conscious uncoupling? Was it the,
I
the
think
mutual
it was.
agreement?
I think they mutually agreed to part ways, but
Yeah.
In his case, isn't it more like, well, Peacock basically or whoever said that they didn't like what he was doing. That's because that could be the only way it could be, because he still was pretty happy with what he'd done.
Yep.
So ultimately,
That's what we would be led to believe.
A24's gone.
A24.
No, not
As I said to you, I'm not sure Peacock's in the position to be throwing there.
And Peacock's fucking, you know what? The executives of Peacock are currently fucking shredding all documents and getting ready for a merger.
I think Peacock's doing all right. Like, they're doing better, but when you look at it on the scale of the streaming services, they're fucking...
Oh, they're down the bottom.
They're nothing. They don't have that much to throw their weight around with. So
No. I'm disappointed in this, but I'm actually not surprised considering we heard absolutely nothing between
it was
Fuller being accepted as being the showrunner to him no longer involved.
Yeah, it
We've
was
heard
starting to get to the point of concern that we weren't hearing.
Because you would have been
anything.
thinking, so are we filming yet? Have we got to that yet?
Have we started casting?
Yeah.
Have we?
And we done none of that.
None of it.
So we took 2 years to produce what? Some scripts? Is that really?
I think they had scripts, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know Kevin Williamson tweeted about how he was impressed with what Brian Fuller had done. He was in the mix somehow, and he put out there that it was something like a really nice portrayal of a grieving mother.
Mm.
But then also mentioned there was going to be one episode that was essentially a chase for the whole episode.
Yeah. My concern, Jared, and I don't know if this is the case, but I'm going to put it out there, is I get this feeling that it's hard to get Jason into it.
Mm.
And then everyone's going, well, people want to see Jason.
Yeah.
And so if you can't give me Jason, then the show doesn't have legs.
Well, maybe if you're spending a lot of time with Pamela, there's not a lot of...
Well, put it this way,
Jason
I don't care, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's a mythology. This is the mythology of Friday the 13th. And part of it is that Jason either didn't exist or was a child for periods, right?
Yep.
So, in my opinion, that's still worth mining. It's still worth looking at.
Yeah. I mean, we know nothing about what happened.
No.
That's the thing. Like, there hasn't been any word about what was going on, so we're just tossing things around. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that, you know, someone's throwing out more Jason or more this or more that. Or, But yeah, it is disappointing because Fuller's track record with, I mean, just Hannibal alone gives you faith that he was going to do something pretty cool with this, hopefully.
But again, this is another thing. You hired Brian Fuller, right, for his track record and for his experience in using a big property like Silence of the Lambs and then doing something with it and taking Hannibal Lecter in different directions and different angles, okay? So you hired him for that, right? That would be my thought. You hired him because of certainly his experience on Hannibal.
Yeah.
Then unless he writes some fucking, like, unless he's going way off the fucking beaten path, I feel like you just you let him do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you take that. You accept that. Because
Yep.
that's what we wanted. We wanted you to do something with it.
Yeah.
You don't then go, oh, there's not enough Jason, or there's not enough this, or there's fucking, it doesn't fit what we want. Like, you hired him because you wanted something from him.
Yeah. As I said, the issue is we don't know anything about anything.
Mm.
Last we heard about it prior to this was that interview with him where, you know, he said you're going to get various iterations of Jason. Then, as you said, 18 months, 2 years down the track, here we are. And Brian Fuller's no longer on it with no fucking word in
As to
between
why,
at all. So yeah, I would like to know a little more about why. And I would like to get some details on what was the issue with what he was doing.
Jared, could it be because they were ready to release the Jason universe, which they then promptly did, reckon a week after Brian Fuller got the arse?
I can't see how that would have been an issue because I'm sure, I don't know, Adam, I've been on the Jason Universe website. There's a lot of nothing on there. So
Is there?
Yeah.
I haven't even bothered to get the
I
website.
signed up to the mailing list. That was all you could do on the website.
Oh my god! This is what, and Jared, I'm conspiracy theorising here, but this feels like damage control.
Kinda.
Crystal Lake suddenly goes fucking push.
Yeah.
Oh, she's fucked. She's gone.
Yep.
Even though no one's actually said the show's gone, but Brian Fuller's left, and the inference I think is that this might not see the light of day. Shit, let's put a website together for the Jason universe.
Yeah. Yep.
Because then the fans will be okay. They'll be all right now.
Yeah, of course.
And you know what? I believe it says they want to put out entertainment, games, immersive experiences, merchandise, and more to be announced in 2024. How about a movie?
How
What the
about
fuck?
a movie? Well, the movie's the issue.
How about something?
Well,
something else.
I mean, Adam, I sent you a little Twitter thing the other day after seeing this and thinking, this is great, but why aren't we talking about movies? I read Larry Zerner's kind of, he's the go-to with the entertainment law stuff with Friday the 13th, having been in Friday the 13th and in the entertainment law industry. And so he broke it down with what he knows. And he's thrown a fucking wrinkle in that I didn't even know about. What's
the wrinkle?
So it appears like everyone's on board. Like the Jason universe is Victor Miller's side, Horror Inc. They keep talking about this Robert. I keep getting his last name. It starts with a B, but Robert B, who is involved with Horror Inc., which, as far as I know, is Sean Cunningham as well. That they've cut their deals and
so everybody's looking for a slice.
So everyone's ready. Everyone's ready for a slice. But then Larry Zerner threw out there that somehow, I don't know when this happened, but New Line actually owns the Friday the 13th title now.
But how? Because the movies they made did not have it in the title.
Well, that's what people on Twitter were correcting him, like, Larry, it's Paramount. And he's just quickly whipped out the actual fucking copyright. It says, just have a little read of this for everyone in my mentions talking about Paramount. So it appears that somewhere in that, when they were fucking going on,
was it
in the 90s?
Do you think it was after? Well, I guess New Line made the remake.
Yes. Yeah. So that's a wrinkle too now. Essentially he said, rights can get messy and this is a fucking mess. So we might be sitting here with our thumbs up our clackers for quite some time waiting for a Friday the 13th movie. But as I said, Adam, I just wish someone would just say, fuck it, here's my rights. Do whatever the fuck you want with it. I just need a fucking 10% cut.
Well, why can't New Line just go, okay, yeah, same thing. We will give you the rights to the Friday the 13th name.
Yeah.
And we get 10%. We just get 10% whatever the fuck
We're not
is made.
putting money in on the budget or whatever. We just take a small cut.
We don't require being fucking told as to what's happening and shown scripts and stuff. No.
Because as I said to you,
we just want 10%.
No one's hanging onto these with the fucking the grip that people are unless there's money involved. But, I mean, we want to keep our fucking share. At the moment, it's a share of nothing. So you've got 100% of nothing. Why don't you fucking give that up and say we'll take 10% of fucking something?
Yeah.
It's so fucking annoying.
Make something.
Just something. Yeah. I don't know how, you hold on to these rights because they're worth something. And I get, okay, you're collecting from previous films and re-releases of things, but the fucking lawsuit put a stop to merchandise, it put a stop to the game, it put a stop to fucking everything. So let's just get the ball rolling again. Yeah.
Do something.
At this point, if the Jason universe results in a fucking comic or a book or something, I'll be fucking crawling all over myself to fucking get it.
Will you be surprised?
I'll be surprised as soon as anything comes out.
So you think if something comes out, you'd be surprised?
Oh, absolutely. At this point, if we can get our things, if we can get our fucking ducks in a row.
That's the reason why. This is why I keep defaulting to damage control.
Yeah,
is because there's not a word about this anywhere.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get to the point where we're just gonna have to rewrite it with fucking different names and shit.
Yeah,
his name's not Jason. It's not at Crystal Lake. It's at fucking Pearl Pond or something.
Yeah, something like that. We're going to have to turn around, fucking hell. I mean, Platinum Dunes managed to get a movie done.
Yeah.
In 2009. So what the fuck are we doing?
I don't know. But the Jason universe, Adam.
It's almost 15. It is 15 years.
It's 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
That we haven't had a Jason film in 15 years.
Nope.
And the remake is not great.
It's all right.
It's okay.
I would take that again in a heartbeat.
Oh,
Just give me fucking something.
Yeah. But really ugly.
I'll take part 5 again.
Well, damn enchiladas. Fuck. If we can get that going again.
Yeah.
All right, Jared. Look, it's a very messy business. And as I said to you when I got here today, I've never seen a franchise with so much trouble just to get material and even merchandise made. Jason I remember back in the 80s, they weren't selling merchandise for Jason. Yet Freddy was everywhere. He's fucking merchandising everything. But Jason they wouldn't do it. So you've now, fucking years later, we're still engaging in this kind of crap. Ridiculous. All right, let's take a break. And here's the trailer for Dracula, Voyage of the Demeter.
The story of Dracula on the last voyage of the Demeter. Evil is on board.
We call him Dracula.
Where the bloody hell is it?
Search the ship everywhere.
I want to kill the thing. Kill it. We can't even find it.
Only in theaters August 11th.
Dracula, Voyage of the Demeter from 2023. Directed by Andre Ovredal, who directed The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Good film. Recently watched by you, I believe. Produced by Bradley J. Fisher, who produced Suspiria, Mike Medavoy, who produced Zodiac, and Arnold Messer, who produced Black Swan. It was written by Bragi F. Shute, who wrote Samaritan, and Zach Olkowitz, who wrote Bullet Train, and also Bram Stoker, of course. It stars Corey Hawkins as Clemens, Aisling Franciosi as Anna, Liam Cunningham as Captain Elliot, and David Dasmalchian. Is that his name?
Yeah.
You love that bloke, don't you? You love that guy. As Wojciech. The budget was $45 million. The box office was $21 million worldwide. Talk about taking a hit. It's a fair old hit. This has spent 20 years in development hell. Directors, writers, and script have changed repeatedly over that time.
Yeah. There was one big name attached.
Who?
Marcus Nispel.
Marcus
Your
Nispel.
favourite.
So it would have been a grainy, fucking washed-out looking thing. God.
Yeah.
I'm going to go first on this one. This is the first time viewing for me. I went for 3.5. I actually thought it was really solid. I've got some issues as to kind of how quickly we get to the creature stuff, which surprised me. I actually had other thoughts as to where I thought it was going to go. Like, I thought it was going to be more of a slow burn. But it's an interesting take on the mythology that we don't see a lot of. Yeah, it's a different angle of Dracula. Set design, FX work, everything about it, the period details, they're all top notch. Like, and you really feel the boat, like when you're out there, which I think is an excellent, is a fantastic thing. And there's some really good set pieces in there. I was thoroughly entertained, and I certainly was surprised about how good it was. So 3.5.
I was the same. I did re-watch it. This was one that Maddie and I saw in the cinemas. Just us, seemingly, by the box office.
No one else? Was there anyone else in there at the time?
There was one other bloke in there when we went to watch it, I think, or two other blokes in there. Yeah, look, I'm quite partial to a Dracula story. Not necessarily... I've never read the book. I still haven't read Dracula. But I am familiar with the story, very familiar with the story. Like to have watched different versions. You know, I've watched the Nosferatu's, I've watched Coppola's one, I've watched, a couple of sort of TV things and whatever. I like to dig into that. So I thought, the idea of taking the boat trip, which is never really explored much, it's just like a stepping stone, was pretty cool. I don't think the movie ever really solves the issue of, well, we know Dracula makes it to the other side. Anyone that's fucking passingly familiar with Dracula knows that happens. So I don't think they ever really solved that. In saying that, I kind of liked the way that they went about it. I really dug the creature design. I know that the effects and the attempts at scares and tone have been really divisive. Like, I've read some reviews that just fucking hated it. I very much fell on the side of, I think Andre Overdale does a really good job of crafting a tone on the boat.
Yeah.
And as you said, you are pretty much always aware of how isolated they are. I know there's a few little bit, CGI sort of issues with the creature, but I dug the design of. I mean, it's obviously like it's clearly inspired by Nosferatu. Like you look at it, and that's the first thing I thought.
Yeah.
So I sort of dug that. I was thinking there was going to be, when I first saw it, I was thinking there was going to be more of the Dracula that we knew, like the human kind of form.
Human Dracula.
For the approach that it goes for, I think it was probably wise to just stick with the monstrous sort of look to it the whole way through. In taking that path, I think, as I said, I think he crafts a bit of tension and tone with it. It never fully reaches where you want it to go.
No.
But that doesn't stop it from being pretty entertaining and pretty interesting. Probably goes a little bit long and, as you said, sacrifices development to the characters in a few ways. But I was surprised at how effectively it did get some of those twists and turns and scares in there. Again, I know that's been hugely divisive. Like, as I said, there was some reviews that I read that just fucking hated it.
That's a bit harsh.
Well, I thought so too. I thought, given what they were going for, I thought it was quite successful in going for that. As you said, I didn't think it was going to be creature featurey.
No.
But it goes that path, and I thought it did it pretty well. It used the boat reasonably well to sort of box us in.
Yeah.
There's a few issues that we have that we'll get into, but overall, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, agreed. And look, I would even say, even if you didn't feel it reached the potential that you hoped it had, as someone watching it, I feel like they were going for a slightly different angle, and I'll get to that. That to me, they pushed an entertainment angle. Like it was really entertaining.
Yeah,
right?
And a lot of I read probably 6 or 7 reviews on there that went ahead and mentioned Alien, and you can see that.
Yeah,
but I think. When you're throwing that comparison out there, it's really hard to do it well, and I thought they did it to a reasonable level.
Yeah, to a reasonable level, in my opinion. First off the bat for the likes, to take that side of the story was a good option. The boat trip, because we don't know a lot about it, and as you said, it's a stepping stone. So let's flesh that out a little bit.
Yeah,
it comes with a major dislike.
Comes with some problems that we'll get into.
But I feel from a narrative perspective, why not go down that route?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many times have we seen Dracula?
Yeah.
It's really hard to do something new with it. Like, I think the last one that I watched was the BBC one from a couple of years ago. I didn't really like it that much. They brought it into modern times in a way, and it just, I didn't,
Didn't work for you. So
I like that they looked at a piece of it and said, let's go with this. Similar to what they did with Renfield, right? Like you take the characters and put them into a different, into something that we haven't seen. And it gave them the opportunity to bring some characters in that we didn't know, that we hadn't heard of. So they managed to get a little bit of mystery into it from that perspective.
Yes.
Again, we knew it is undercut, and we'll talk about that later. But overall, I thought it was a good way to approach it.
Agreed. I really liked the voiceover. Use of the voiceover from the captain's log. Very solid.
Which is straight from the book,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
So take some of the actual book and squeeze it in, and that worked. And it worked well. It didn't feel like it was shoehorned. It was just nicely played out. Well, especially the way they bookended the film.
Yeah, they just took that frame of it and said, okay, well, here's what we actually have in the book.
Yeah.
What happened around that?
So I liked that. I felt that was a nice touch. The film looks amazing.
Yeah,
like $45 million, it's on screen. Like, it's one of those films that I looked at and thought for myself, well, they haven't really cut corners here. They've put as much as they possibly can on screen. And it looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And all the set design, all the period detail, all of that looks really fantastic.
I can understand a few of the concerns about the CGI with the creature. Like, there is a couple of parts, but I also thought they did a really good job of keeping it in darkness and keeping it murky.
I mean, it's the luxury of shooting a lot that on the boat.
Yeah.
In a period where you didn't have torches and floodlights and shit, you had minimal lighting.
But even then,
it worked well.
I never looked at it and said, I can't see what's going on. I looked at it and I was like, this is used to an effect. It's there for a reason, and the reason, like the impact of that is sound. Like they keep, they show the creature right in the frame, but it's fleeting and it's dark and it's moving and it's. So I get a few of the complaints there, but I thought all that stuff was fine. I saw one fucking review that was pissing and moaning about CGI waves.
Was there CGI waves?
I don't know.
But fuck it.
If there was, it can't be that much of a complaint, surely.
But what else do you expect? Like it's being filmed as a supposedly a storm at sea. Yeah. You can't just fucking reenact that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Further to that, like the design of the boat and the use of it is great. And it's touches on what I said with Dracula there. Like there's a couple of scenes where there's sort of lingering shots on just like a dark corner. And you're like, is it there? And it's not. Or it is. But they use that to really good impact. And this is where, there are a few points where there's some little jump scares, some classic kind of jump scares. But all of them appear to be sort of elevated because he's crafted a little bit before that.
Yeah.
So I was pretty impressed with the way that he shot around the boat.
I would say, yes, the tone is there. I've sort of got a bit of a negative to some of that later on, and maybe it was just personal preference or how I felt when watching it with regards to things like that. But I think tonally, they go for a certain style and a certain tone, and I think they kind of get there.
Yeah.
The creature looks pretty good across the board.
I thought so.
I don't think it looks like didn't sit there going, my God, what have they done? I feel like they kind of went for an angle and they stuck with it, and I think it, for the most part, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely like the look of it. I've already sort of mentioned that, if you're going to go for that monstrous angle, well, you've taken the Nosferatu design, you've ramped it up a little bit, you've fucking given him all the teeth and the kind of grotesque sort of, the withered kind of look.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that stuff.
I was happy with that.
It was pretty good, especially in in combination with what I was talking about. You've sort of mentioned that you didn't like it as much, but the parts where it is in darkness and you do see just a little bit of movement and that stuff, I thought was a big positive.
Well, clearly too, I think they were going for almost like a bat-like appearance.
Yeah.
So it had that leathery type of skin and stuff, and and to me that worked for the environment too.
Yep.
I like the fact there was a couple of close calls and some references to the bad karma on the boat and all that. The kid almost getting hit by the box as it falls.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about the dragon on the box, kind of setting this like ominous, no one wants to board this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got that whole thing about how some of the staff won't come.
Yeah. It starts from the intro, right?
Yeah.
Like the intro where you see the boat against the rocks. It's short and sharp. It just sets us off. We know where we're going. If you got as I said, if you got a passing fucking knowledge of Dracula, you know where that is taking us. So then when we flash back and we get, all the guys dropping the crates off and saying, I think it's Das Malchian's characters saying they're not going to help us load it.
Yeah.
They're saying they've got to get out of here before the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. I thought that was cool. That just this tone of
foreboding.
The people there in sort of Dracula's grip, or and as the girl sort of mentions further on, that they're fucking basically offering him people to appease him and stuff like that. So it makes sense that they wouldn't, like, there would be people there that have some sort of knowledge of it.
Yeah. And I thought it's a foreboding situation as the boat's about to get ready to launch.
Yeah.
That people are kind of like not really wanting to be involved with the material, like with the boxes and the crates and shit that are going on it, which I thought was cool. So I really liked when the livestock are all going off. Yeah, and you can hear that pig screaming.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's a really kind of creepy sound, you know.
Yeah.
And so clearly there's something down there.
Yeah.
Again, a nice way of just kind of drip feeding us into it.
Well, at the same time, I mean, you start off with rats climbing on people's beds and shit.
And then they all fuck
I
off,
mean,
don't
Come on, fellas. Like just off the bed would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
nice. Thanks. But like that. There's a couple of there's just a little really short scene around the same time, just before the animals start to get spooked, of where they fucking start fleeing from the crates,
they?
and it comes back around later on when the chef sort of says, you know, the boat could be burning and the rats would still be crawling in its ashes.
Yeah.
But they're not here. Like, that sort of stuff, I was
Again,
very much on board with that.
somewhat of a slow burn, which is interesting as I come to, when I get to my dislikes, there's something about that I wasn't comfortable with, but I like the fact that they kind of drip fed a little bit here.
Yeah. Now, this one's going to be, you know, either way. The dog going first.
Yeah.
It's easy pickings for that shit, but I thought it actually did have a bit of impact. And I think perhaps that's because we're dog people. But seeing sort of the rest of the animals done too, and you're sort of getting that on the back of the isolation of the ocean.
Yeah.
And so it sort of immediately puts into play this, well, fuck, that's just really put us under the hammer with the food.
Yes.
So it's kind of twofold, you know.
Well,
we
it kind
know
of puts them
something's here.
in a position that they can't turn back. They can't pull into port. They haven't, you know, there's nowhere to go.
Yep.
You've also got no food.
Yep.
Well, obviously, limited food. I don't know what, but basically the livestock was your food. So
Cabbage and spuds for the rest of the
cabbage
way.
spuds for the,
Fuck me.
for the fucking
I'd
foreseeable
jump
future.
overboard.
Oh, man. Definitely fucking... I'd be like, there's no steak. Jesus Christ. You lost me.
I'd be doing everything I could to catch a fish somehow, some way.
Yes.
I'd be crafting. I'd be ripping one of the sails down and crafting a net.
It certainly didn't look like the sort of boat that you could fish off, but still, give it a go.
Give it a go. If you know, by the third day of me serving up a fucking cabbage soup, I'd be saying, "Fuck."
Well, I did the live below the line challenge, Jared, one year, and it was $10 for fucking for 5 days.
Yeah,
that's all you could spend. $10 total, and I bought a shitload of spuds.
Yep,
because I was told that that's a good way for fucking spuds with basically nothing else. Honestly, it was fucking disgusting. After a while, I was just like, I'm so sick of this shit. And this was like 2 days in.
Of course. 2 days. Well, that's what I'd be like out at sea, Adam.
Man.
I'd be complaining about the cabbage soup, and then I'd be vomiting it overboard. Fucking 5 minutes later.
Yeah,
I would be the worst crewmate.
I would be telling the fucking chef he's a bloody nut. He's a Neville. Get me something decent.
And then when you're trying to sleep, I'm pissing and moaning about the rats that are crawling all over me.
And this thing's moving too much.
Can we just slow down a little so I can get a decent sleep?
Although they didn't seem to be doing much.
No,
in terms of jobs, they weren't exactly working. It wasn't Deadliest Catch.
No. Perfect storm.
Okay. I didn't expect to find that they'd find the woman in the box. Actually, I didn't even think of that.
Nope.
All I kept thinking about was Dracula's in one of those boxes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the woman's in there, and it was actually quite a decent jump scare where she sort of comes up. The hand comes out of the fucking dirt. Yeah,
well, that was the thing. Like, I don't recall in any of the sort of retellings of Dracula that he had basically, like, as she sort of
like a slave
described him, was like food for the trip. Basically,
he bought food for his trip.
Well, that's what she says. She said, you know, he
Snacks.
fucking feeds, has his fill when he needs to. So, you know, you're looking at that kind of Daughters of Dracula sort of vibe to it and thinking, I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Again, it probably comes with a negative, but I didn't think of it. I'm not a fan of seeing animals being killed or
No.
having animals killed.
No.
But I think finding all the livestock dead with their throats bitten was a nice way to kind of establish that there is a creature and it's quite dangerous
Yeah.
on the ship.
Well, it's the classic, it's the nice, easy way to have everyone there throwing out, well, this is your fault.
Yes.
Oh, but what about this?
Pointing
What about that?
fingers at the
Pointing
new
fingers
people on the boat and all
Yep.
this sort of stuff.
Yep.
So, your classic kind of the thing
Yeah.
type of, everyone's
paranoia.
paranoid, yeah.
Yep. Can I ask one question about that, though?
Mm.
If the prospect was cabbage soup, are you saying just keep the animal there? I mean, I see its neck, but can we just cut a leg off the lamb?
Well, fuck. It's not like it's not roadkill.
Look, at this point, I will risk turning into a fucking monster. I just cannot eat another
Dude,
cabbage
it's
soup.
the fucking 1800s. I mean,
Yeah, that's still in good nick.
they did not know anything about fucking, food preparation or hygiene. Like, fuck, I am eating that animal. Like, that goat, I'm saying no.
Yeah,
Well,
just
why are we
cut it
throwing
up.
this overboard?
Just cut it from the neck up and we keep the rest.
Like, we are going to sit up with steins tonight eating. We're going to have
That
a
leg's
feast.
mine.
Yeah.
When they bring it into the table and they're like, look at this. I say, look at it. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Oh, you don't want to eat this? Admittedly, the next day I'm fucking pooping like it's going out of fashion.
Yeah. But then I come back into the kitchen and I say, chicken tonight?
Yeah. Have you got any of that leftover goat for last night? Because I'm pretty fucking hungry.
Yeah.
But, again, I like that idea. It shows that the creature is clearly dangerous. It puts some doubt in the minds of all the crew, and it also robs them of their food,
Yeah.
which now creates another issue.
Yeah.
It's not really used, which
No.
was disappointing. But
It is briefly. The paranoia is sort of there very briefly to... There's a little bit between Clemens and David Dastmalchian that stays for the next
but it's minimal,
one or two
yeah,
killings,
it's
but
minimal.
It's minimal, yeah.
But he already didn't like him. Pre the food.
No, of course.
The Smelchian was fucking
I mean,
right.
Dastmalchian's still got a sore guts from the meal last night.
Yeah.
And he's, we're out on the seven seas. There's nothing to wipe your ass with.
Yeah, just quietly, what are they wiping their fucking freckles with, Nicholas?
Animal skins? I don't know.
I mean, you toss that over. You toss our bog roll over the fucking side as well.
I mean, I'm saying to someone, listen, you just grab a rope. You've got to dip me overboard because otherwise,
I should say to the captain. That's okay. Listen, mate. I had a particularly nasty session in the toilet, and I probably need to get dunked in the water.
look, just tie me by my ankles and my hands and dip me ass first into the water. I don't mind if we're going because that'll probably wash away. Just drop me in there for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's perfect. The set piece where the creature kind of crawls out of the darkness.
Yes.
And the bloke sees it, and then it just kind of leaps at him. So it looks all...
Petrovsky?
It looks all... The creature looks all bloody...
When it looks all weak and
weak
shit.
and defeated, and then suddenly just leaps up and rips his throat out.
Yeah.
Nice set piece.
Yeah, it was cool.
Decent bit of gore,
Yep. And that was one of the things I was talking about. Like, prior to that, we'd had a couple of shots of just looking down the side of the ship into a dark corner.
Yeah.
And you're kind of waiting, and there's nothing there. So when we get this one and it slowly sort of creeps out, I was like, that's good.
Yeah.
That's quality
Tidy.
bit of work. Just sort of subtly sort of bringing it in there.
I really like the idea of the knocking.
Yep.
The knocking on the side of the ship to bring people to you
Yep.
if you're in danger. And they use it a couple of times in the film, and it works pretty well. There's one in particular where the Dracula uses the knocking itself.
Says,
To bring them out onto the main part of the ship, and then kills one bloke. Oh, no, doesn't kill him. Chases that guy up the mast, which was creepy. That shot looking down on it as it's coming up after him was cool.
Yeah, it was when it gets that kind of grin.
Yeah.
That's the first
And
time
it
it
says
speaks.
something, I can't remember what it says.
It says, please no, I believe.
Yeah.
And then it kind of grins at him, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that was
That was
creepy.
kind of cool. I think that was a similar time when we had one of these classic jump scares that's not really doing anything new, I believe it was before it kills Petrovsky.
Is it the one where you walk walk around a corner and run into someone?
No,
Because fuck,
no.
mate, that one got used too.
It's the the flash of lightning and the thing's just standing behind him.
Yeah.
But I felt it was done pretty well again because they'd kind of. It was in the pissing rain. We'd already started to do this daytime to nighttime, sort of ramping up into the time when we've got to be concerned.
Yeah.
It doesn't then just kind of fucking leap on him or anything. He kind of walks around a bit before anything happens. I looked at that and I saw, well, we've seen that a million times, but it's done in the midst of a pretty decently crafted bit of work.
Yeah. And, I'm okay with that. Okay, if you're going to do that. As long as you do it well and it's placed nicely, that's fine.
Yeah. Combination of the atmosphere, the creature design, the work that you've done before that. I didn't fucking roll my eyes.
No, I didn't sort of think, well, we've been down this road a million times. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, yeah.
I also like the shot of the blood dripping onto the little kid's shirt.
Yep.
From above.
Again, something we've used.
Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs though, and it's a storm and everything. So I like the fact that it's kind of in there.
Yeah, yep.
And that works well. The stalking and death of the little boy.
Yep.
Nice set piece.
Excellent.
Solid. Probably the
name?
best set piece of the film.
Algarin fucking when he closes the door on him,
Yeah.
and he starts bashing his head through the door.
Yeah.
And fucking jams it in there with there's one kind of cut in his nose and stuff.
But then they do a sort of a bait and switch there because he's kind of like attacking the kid, but then Dracula's in the room, isn't he?
Yes, but then when he's in the room, it's good in there too. Like the shot from seeing Dracula stand up while he's under the table, then the camera goes from under the table to above the table and he's not there.
Yeah.
And then they fucking get a glimpse from outside the door before he kills the kid, or basically, dooms the kid. I thought that was strong, and we're coming from a place where we know certain things that are going to happen, but as soon as you see the kid, you're thinking, I actually thought the captain's going to die, but Clemens is going to get the kid off with him.
Yeah,
somehow. Didn't happen.
Yeah,
they fucking just went ahead and did it, which was
good.
Quite good. And yeah, as I said, the fact that the scene leading up to that was quality work, that was another tick.
Big tick in the box with regards to what was the name of the guy who was kind of like his henchman? Was after the kid?
Oh, Olgarin.
Olgarin. When they tie him to the mast and the sun comes up and he fucking catches fire.
Yeah.
Again, old classic mythology for Dracula and that type of, vampires and stuff. Works out really nicely though.
Yep.
Effects still pretty tidy too.
Yeah.
It doesn't look ridiculously CGI even though it is. And it works well.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. The fact that he starts talking to them too just before it happens.
Yep. And there's a scene coming up that I really quite liked that had a similar kind of play to it.
Yeah.
I really liked the death of the guy who abandons ship.
Yeah.
And it's in the fog and everything, and you hear the...
Yeah.
And then he just it lands directly on the boat behind him.
And you don't really see it. It's just a shadow in the fog.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah. Good
use of the locations, good use of the boat itself and the life rafts and everything like that. Nicely played.
Yep.
Now, this was what I felt was kind of emotional a little bit. When they're going to toss the little kid overboard, his body.
Yeah.
And the captain goes, wait, he moved, he's still alive.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's not alive, he's gone,
Yeah.
And it's like he's clinging desperately to this idea that the kid's still alive.
Yeah.
And then
they're playing with what we know about Dracula or, turning people into vampires.
And he tears the thing open and then the kid attacks him.
Mm.
I thought that was really cool. And then, of course, the sunlight hits and the fucking kid catches fire and so does the old mate.
Yeah.
His father catches fire as well. It's another really cool scene, but I kind of felt the emotion there.
Yeah.
It was nicely done.
Yeah, just a brief touch of it. There's another one further along where when I felt that things were possibly going a little too long, there was one bit in there not too long after that where they start to talk about that we're going to abandon the ship. We're going to make sure he doesn't get where he needs to go.
Yeah.
And there's a line where the captain starts, when he pulls the gun and they talk him around.
Yeah.
I think it's Clemens says something about not needing to stay on the Demeter. And the captain says, "Where would I go, Mr. Clemens?" And I thought it was just a really simple line to fucking encapsulate the fact that losing his son has just fucking ruined him.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. Just in a bit where I started to feel the length of the movie just a touch.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, nice line.
Yep.
The sequence when it pulls that guy off his perch and catches him in midair, throws him, kills him, and then throws him into the sail in that final sort of battle. Awesome.
Yeah.
All done in one really quick kind of shot. He kind of falls off and then whoosh, picks him up, kills him, tosses him. Loved it. And I actually think the Dracula looks the best with wings.
Yeah.
When it's got its wings out.
Yeah. Looks pretty cool.
And it comes, the best shot of the creature is when it lands on top of that thing near the end and then just goes and spreads its wings. I was like, fuck, that looks awesome. That looks really awesome.
Yeah.
And the captain holding up the cross towards him. "I denounce you." And fucking Dracula just rips him apart. I like that kind of, he didn't get the whole...
Yeah, well, that's where, it took parts of the mythology, because I believe, catching on fire in the sun was not part of Dracula, the book. I don't know about the cross, but I like the fact that they said, well, we're going to take this one, but we're not going to take that one.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the conversations with Clemens, which don't necessarily come out all that well for me. The fact that they did actually decide to sort of throw that in with the cross stuff is all right.
Yeah, and my last was, "I don't fear you, you will."
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And the way he says it in that kind of croaky, creature-like voice, just a nice way to kind of finish it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of cool. I had one more, and I know it's not... I think I'm on an island with this one, because I know it was one thing that a lot of people did not like, but I actually did like the little tack on at the end of... That
I will follow him, I will track him.
Yes.
I will kill him.
I sort of liked that he's sitting in the... he's sitting there saying, I'm circling. Basically, I know where he is. I've just got to find him. And then we get the knock to show that Dracula's fucking there. He's got his eyes on you. But I sort of like that. Okay, well, it's a Van Helsing type.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's kind of the Van Helsing. It's kind of touching on Van Helsing without actually having Van Helsing in there.
I know that there's a cynical view of it, that it's just in case we get a sequel, it's this and that. But quite honestly, I'd fucking watch that movie in a heartbeat. If they brought if they brought his name, Corey Hawkins back to have another spell at this with Dracula in London, I would watch it in a heartbeat. Yeah,
I think it could be all right. Anything else?
No, that was everything for me.
Okay. Dislikes for me are more broad. I wasn't going down singular things that I kind of hated, scenes and stuff.
Yep.
I had a very broad touch on the dislikes because we know the outcome. There's just no surprises.
Yeah, it saps a bit of the strengths away from the movie.
So you're not kind of waiting. Okay, which way are they going to go?
Yeah,
we know there's only one way to go. The whole fucking everyone gets pretty much killed. The ship gets destroyed.
And so
Dracula gets loose.
Yeah, and so there's parties on the ship that Dracula's going to survive it somehow. You get the sense that Clemens is going to be okay or do something. Because Dracula's not going to die, you get the sense that Clemens isn't going to either.
No.
So there's that. You kind of know the captain's in the shit. There's a few parts of it where it saps the strength from it a little bit and makes it seem like, oh, well, we're just sort of heading towards the inevitable. So there's times when it feels like, oh, well, they're just doing nothing because they can't do anything.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I agree. And it's like anything. Any movie, you can't kind of know the ending.
No.
And expect that you're going to feel kind of satisfied by that because you already know where we're at.
Yep.
And look, wisely, Jared sort of started the film with the ending, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I think that was probably fed into going the creature-y sort of angle and not holding back and slow burning because, you know, we kind of know where it's heading, so you want to have fun getting there, I suppose. So, yeah.
There's limited character development. You don't get a lot, and that's probably going to play more into my next dislike with regards to why it's like that.
Yeah.
You get a little bit about the skipper, and you get a little bit about Clemens, about their sort of history, but you don't really get much of anyone else.
I thought they would use the dinner table stuff a little more.
Yeah. They had a couple of dinners that just kind of over really fast.
Once you spoil dinner and fucking all the meat's gone, I guess the dinner table
once you serve up fucking cabbage soup again, I say, am I on the fucking Heart Foundation diet, am I?
Yeah.
But you could have had some more friction there. You could have got out more information.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a few minutes longer.
I thought they were going to dig more into... I mean, even a touch of the captain and Wojciech, a little bit about their relationship. Like, there's not a whole lot there, even though they start to go with, you're going to be taking over from me, that sort of thing.
But even the captain and his son, we don't get a great deal there.
No.
Yet we're supposed to get emotional about that.
Yeah. Part of it that I didn't like too is the old science versus supernaturals that felt a tad stale.
Yeah. That Clemens was a man of science and...
Yeah, and it seemed like that's where we were going to get most of the stuff from him. But I tell you what, he turns around to the supernatural pretty fucking quickly. He kind of molds it. He kind of says, oh yeah, this is something I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I'm going to understand it to kill it somewhat and sort of starts going along with this. You're not a god. You are something that I can kind of get a grasp of. You are something that I can figure out.
Yeah.
Which does play into why I sort of... this is not one of the reasons that I like the ending, but I thought the ending did sort of carry along with that, of that he's somewhat intrigued by the monster, even though it's fucking killed people that he was on the ship with and whatever. There's a level of interest there.
Yeah.
And something that he hasn't seen. Something that he doesn't understand that he needs to.
Yeah.
But the downside of that is it's not. I don't think it's very well done in throughout the movie with his character.
No.
And I actually really liked him in that role. I thought pretty much thought all the actors did a pretty good job in there.
Yeah, the performances are fine.
Mm.
The woman who they find, Anna, like she is classic one dimensional. Like there's very little about her and other than the fact that
cards.
Other than the fact that she's a snack for the bloke.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yep.
We don't really get much. We get a couple of moments where she talks about what he does.
Yeah. It sort of undercuts the ending between her and Clemens, where we're supposed to get this sort of emotional connection between them, but it feels like it hasn't really built to that.
Yeah, agreed.
She's really like again, she was I haven't seen her in anything since The Nightingale.
Yeah.
She was the lead in The Nightingale and she was pretty good in that too. But yeah, again, the actors all did well with what they had, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. I just didn't feel, and this is personal taste. I expected the slow burn.
Yeah.
Right? So 15 minutes in, we see a shot of Dracula's hands.
Yep.
And I was like, what the fuck are we doing this for? And I wrote down, I disagree with having that shot. Yeah. But I felt like we were going to still go slow burn. It was just one of those ones where they've slipped in a shot where we need to know. A little bit like Needful Things, where he's writing in his diary and we see his fingernails. I'm like, why have we got that? But then by 20 minutes, the creature's out.
Well, the thing with that is, like, what surprise are we going to have about Dracula anymore?
Yeah, I know, but I just felt like go more down the route of the food's gone, we're getting paranoid, build a bit of that first, and then have the creature. But I do understand why they went the way they went.
Yeah, I think
because they were going for a creature film.
I mean, I was kind of expecting what you were expecting too, but when I saw what we got, I was actually pretty happy, and I just feel like it's because we've seen Dracula done so many times.
Oh,
so
of
many
course, I
ways
wasn't
that it's
unhappy. I wasn't unhappy, but I think it could have been teased out a bit longer.
Yeah,
I feel like they could have, squeezed a bit more out of the slow burn period, and maybe backloaded a lot of that stuff. I don't know.
So I guess I don't know
Because then we
It
didn't get
starts to
much
feel
character.
like-
We didn't get much.
well, if things were as they were now, and there wasn't a lot of change other than that, I think it would have been shit because the as you said, the characters were not there to sustain it.
So you needed to actually have some characters to build upon.
Yeah,
And they clearly must have looked at things and gone, well, look, this is a creature film.
yeah.
Because eventually, ultimately, that's what it is. It's a creature movie.
That's what it becomes, really.
And I feel like they made the right choice. It's just interesting how quickly it took to get to Dracula.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, they did it quickly, but the movie still took 2 hours.
I know.
So
They kind of had time.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird dislike, but they had plenty of time, but yet they kind of went to Dracula straight away, and then they spent the entire 2 hours creature featuring up.
Yep.
Which was fine in the end, I guess. That's kind of it for me.
yeah, I had one more. I guess it comes back around to what I was saying before about the science versus supernatural and the sort of lack of building that with Clemens. The stuff about I liked this as a scene, and it's the same one that you had, but saying you're not a god and you're afraid, just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And then, leads into the I don't fear you.
Mm.
The lines just fall a little flat. The I fear you moment, I don't fear you and you will moment was cool. But the lines leading up to that, I liked in isolation, but it just felt like it came out of nowhere because we'd sort of left that behind a little bit.
Yeah.
It felt like it was supposed to be being sort of built up whilst he was treating the boy and treating Anna.
Yeah.
But it just didn't quite come to that.
It didn't quite hit properly.
Yeah. It's sort of, him being the one that wants to understand everything, the man of science, that whipping those lines out when it's sort of gone away for a while just didn't really land.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that everything for you?
That is.
Short and sharp on the dislikes front. But that is Dracula, the Voyage of the Demeter. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook, we're at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. We're also on Instagram at thrillmepodcastau. Keep an eye on the Facebook page for details of the next movie that we cover. But until then, take it easy, everyone, and we'll catch you all later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.